I'm going to be canceled in roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Does that sound about right?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Oh, shut up, Siri. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel, and we are going to be talking about the controversy around Bud Light hiring Dylan Mulvaney as their spokesperson. Now, I have not discussed marketing a whole lot on this channel, but maybe I should, seeing as how I'm the Apptrepreneur, and one of the things that I do with my stores and things like that is I do marketing. So I've got a fair amount of experience with marketing myself, my eBay store, my e-commerce business, my YouTube channel. And so I have a little bit of an understanding of what you need to do to advertise yourself and to change things up when things aren't working. And I think this Bud Light fiasco is very fascinating for a couple reasons. First of all, it is a little bit of a study on the culture wars, if you will, which I think we'll dabble on a little bit in this video, but we're going to try not to get too much into, and marketing and whether or not this is good business, because a lot of people say that Bud Light, or the company that owns the Budweiser brand, is making a huge mistake by hiring Dylan Mulvaney to be their spokesperson. And the funny thing is, I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think this is a little bit more nuanced than what's been shown. Now, just so that you know entirely where I stand with Dylan Mulvaney, this is where I'm going to probably get canceled by some of you, because I am not going to call Dylan Mulvaney she. In my opinion, Dylan Mulvaney is a very obnoxious influencer who started this year of being a woman, and I think it was a joke that went way too far. In fact, there are several instances where Dylan has openly admitted that he did this as a joke, and then it got a lot of attention, so he just kept doing it.
I managed to offend women on my first day of being one, and I just feel terrible about it. Some gals saw my video yesterday as perpetuating the stereotype, which it was, and it was satirical, but
Dylan looks nothing like a woman. He does not appear to be going through sex reassignment surgery seriously. It's not even well known if he's actually getting on the hormones or the gender-affirming care. He seems to enjoy dressing in women's clothing, which is different from being transgender, but he doesn't actually seem to be taking the steps necessary to become a woman. In fact, I think the whole thing is an act, because he is acting in a way where I think he thinks this is how women act, but it's not. I mean, Dylan's character, if you will, seems to mimic a stereotype of women, except I'm not even sure if it's that, because I don't know a single woman who acts like this person. And I don't think you know anyone who acts like him either. And does that mean he's an evil person? Probably not. If this was a joke that went too far, it's because the audience ate it up and he decided to market himself in a certain way. And that's what Dylan does. He has a marketing team behind him that pretty much realized that this was gold, and they have been milking that gold for all it's worth. So, that's my opinion on Dylan Mulvaney. Now then, having that opinion, do I believe that Bud Light was wrong to hire Dylan as their spokesperson? And the answer to that is a lot more complicated, because unlike most people, I'm not sure if this was the worst idea in the world. I don't think it's especially paying off right now, but I understand the logic behind it. So here's the thing. I should also emphasize that I don't drink beer. So personally, I don't care how Budweiser advertises their products, or Bud Light. I remember the Budweiser Frogs. That was a memorable ad campaign. Never made me want to drink beer. I remember all these different Bud commercials, and they're usually involved country singers and Southern men and, going to bars and things like that. I mean, Bud had a very specific brand. I also think about, college comedies and frat boys drinking down a bunch of Bud Lights and stuff like that. These are the images I have with Bud Light, but I don't personally drink the stuff. My brother, who has a beard, like more of a beard, I should say, and is a bleeding heart liberal, basically drinks the stuff during barbecues and sporting events and no other time. In other words, he fits one of the stereotypes of people who buy this product. And here's the thing that you must think about with Bud Light. I just talked about stereotypes and everything like that, but the reality is stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. When you think of someone drinking a Bud Light, there is a few very distinct images that come to your mind. Most of them probably like a trucker with a beard, maybe a little bit of a gut, and they're at a barbecue or at their bar and he's drinking it away. You don't think about a lot of women drinking Bud Light. You don't think about a lot of jocks drinking Bud Light. Bud Light is a product that, while it will, of course, appeal to women, and some millennials, I'm sure, do drink it, there is a very clear image of who drinks Bud Light for a reason. And according to the VP of Marketing Sales, while Bud Light is still a multi-billion-dollar business, their sales are stagnating, and they have been stagnating for years. And this happens once in a while. Remember when McDonald's all of a sudden got like a salad craze? It's because even though McDonald's was still making billions of dollars and, selling all these hamburgers, they found their market growth shrinking. And they realized that the new generation was looking for healthier options. And so they started trying new things. Eventually, they realized they need to worry about the healthy side of things. They would actually gain a lot of new customers if they just had a coffee cafe and had some fancy drinks. And that's what they did to start growing their brand again. Bud Light is apparently in this stage where it's like it has a very loyal and dedicated type of customer. But that base is not growing. And so therefore they need to do something. And that's why looking at an influencer like Dylan Mulvaney isn't exactly the craziest idea in the world. Now, I should also mention, this goes way beyond Dylan Mulvaney. I despise the idea of influencers. I mean, that's kind of weird coming from someone whose self-proclaimed job on various websites is film critic. I share my opinions, but I share my opinions because I want to share those opinions. I want you to know whether that movie or that show or that game or that comic book is worth reading, watching, playing, whatever it is. And I take pride in that. One thing I don't do is I don't take branded partnerships for movies and products that would be a conflict of interest with my review. I've taken sponsorships in the past for certain services, but I'm not reviewing those services, and I am very upfront that that is a commercial. But an influencer is someone who basically sells their opinion to the highest bidder. If Kellogg's comes along and says, hey, we'll pay you $2 million to eat Cheerios on your Instagram, they're going to eat Cheerios. Like when Kim Kardashian said, I put milk in my cereal for the first time, I can almost guarantee you, I can't promise you, I can't prove it, that disclaimer got to be out there, but I'm pretty sure whatever the cereal was that she put milk in that picture, that company more than likely paid her to do it. And so this idea that people follow influencers on TikTok and Instagram to basically model their own lives after that individual is a really weird one to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people do it. On the other hand, I lived through the Oprah Winfrey Show and basically saw my mom buy products and books, and the neighbors did too, looked up music of whatever was on Oprah. So it's not like influencing is exactly a new thing. But here's the thing. It's effective. Despite what my feelings of it are, it's a very, very effective way to do things. And so I bet you Bud Light looked at what was going on and said, you know what? This is what people think of Bud Light. And we're not growing. We're stagnating. People who, this individual has over 9 million followers. That is 9 million eyeballs of people who almost certainly don't drink our product. They don't buy it. So let's get this person to say, hey, it's good. Let's have that person sit here. My wife texted me, sorry. We're going to get this person to do a little dance in the tub, and we're going to try to appeal to a younger demographic because our current demographic of people who buy this product are going to die someday. And we will have no product whatsoever if we don't get the new generation on board. So they decide to take a chance. Now, so far, that bet has not paid off. They have lost about $5 billion worth of market value. And here's why. Because when you have a very specific type of person who's buying your product, they decided to go with an ad campaign that was going to alienate that very specific demographic. In fact, when I watched Dylan's first Bud Light ad, not the one where he's in the bathroom doing that stupid dance. I'm talking about the one where he's sitting there with the Bud Lights in front of him and saying, it's March Madness. I just thought we were all celebrating, but apparently it had something to do with sports. It's like, that you could already hear all the sports fans getting really pissed. Like, don't trivialize something as big as March Madness to the people who buy your product specifically for March Madness. That is a bad idea. But in the long term, is it going to pay off? And that's where ultimately we don't know until this comes out. I mean, I think Bud Light has really damaged their brand for their current customers. These are the kind of people who, you tick them off, they will never come back. They will go to Coors, they will go to any competitor as long as they don't buy Bud because they do not like what they see. And you know what? Yes, some of them probably don't like what they see because they do have some deep prejudices that are deep within them. That is their right to have, and maybe you don't want those people's customers anyway, I don't know. But you know what? This is your core audience. They were going to get shunned one way or the other, and they were going to fight back, and that's why we're losing, or not we, but Bud Light is losing $5 billion in valuation. On the other hand, what if the controversy is fleeting? And what if the ad campaign does convince the people who watch Dylan as an influencer to actually buy Bud Light? Heck, there might be people who, just seeing the way some conservatives are boycotting the Bud Light beer, might actually now go out of their way to buy Bud Light just to stick it to them. Which is another fascinating thing in our new culture where it's like you're buying a product based on their political or social justice causes. That's a new world. I have never seen this before. We are in new territory, and it seems like really weird that you would buy a product for any other reason other than you want the product. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to switch over from Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches to Wendy's chicken sandwiches just because I agree with Wendy's politics a little bit more. I want to have a good tasting chicken sandwich. And that's why I still buy. But I don't understand why people base these purchases on anything other than what they personally like. But maybe this will work. I mean, if the controversy subsides and they keep Dylan, maybe having Dylan Mulvaney as a sports, I think I mispronounced his name, as a spokesperson might actually be beneficial. I don't know how much it will be because unfortunately the stereotype of people who are on TikTok and Instagram and looking at the influencers, they're not buying McDonald's and Bud Light and things like that. They're buying Starbucks and fancy sugary cocktails and things like that. So this is going to be very interesting to see where this all goes. Now, rather than make a second video, I will comment on Dylan's Nike thing. That there's a lot more reason to be upset about, I think. And I don't know why Nike's doing this. I mean, they're doing it for the same reasons that Bud Light is hiring Dylan Mulvaney. They want the younger generation, but it's really dumb because while anyone could, in theory, drink and enjoy Bud Light, Nike is promoting women's bras, and Dylan does not have the body parts to show off those bras. Therefore, it makes absolutely no sense, and I don't know why they're doing it, and I can understand why, when you have all these female athletes that I'm sure would look great in a bra, even some trans female athletes that have gone through the process and they look great. They had that soccer player that famously pulled off her shirt after scoring a soccer goal and there was the Nike logo on her bra. I mean, it's like a memorable moment for soccer fans. Why don't you hire her to show off your lineup of women bras? I don't know what Nike thinks is going to happen with this partnership. I think that's just a bad idea altogether. Boy, my wife is texting me a lot. But anyway, so I'm not editing any of that out. So that's my thoughts on the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light partnership. I don't know if it's actually going to work, and there's a lot of early evidence to show that maybe they bit off more than they could chew. At the same time, it really does make sense, and I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen with this long term. But what do you think about this partnership? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.